Cybernation Uncensored.
Welcome to another installment of Tales from the Forlorn Dopes. I am your host, Cybersmily.
Greetings, programs. I'm your co-host, Wisdom.
Yes. Man. What have we been, 3 weeks out since our last episode?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. So, we're still working on trying to get some interviews, but I think some of them haven't fully panned out yet. But we are trying.
Yeah, the people we're trying to get are all busy. Even they're either dealing with publishing stuff on the side of Artel Saurian, or publicity stuff on the side of 2077, or important projects on the side of former Artelsaurian people that we're trying to get. Everybody's busy. It's a busy summer. But those interviews, I'm still working on them. We will get them when we get them.
Yep. And for now, I think we'll probably get back into the 2020 book reviews. I think right now we're about to head into the scenarios, I think, or those type of supplements. Yeah. But that, I think, we'll plan out for maybe next episode. But tonight we're actually going to get and do a deeper dive into Danger Gal, which is...
Yeah, we spoke a little bit about it. Spoke a little bit about it last episode, but This episode we're going to go ahead and give a full review for it.
As I finally have read it from cover to cover.
There's some good stuff in there.
There is.
And really, I mean, the basic premises can work for your 2020 game, your red game. Like it's a red source book, but I mean, it's just different organizations, and you can transplant those into anything.
Yep.
So it's overall one of the more useful source books that have come out in the wake of Red.
Yeah, most definitely. So what's been happening in Cyberpunk? So Cyberpunk-wise, Danger Gal got a supplement. I don't know if we talked about that. I think we did.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it briefly, but none of us had a chance to really look it over at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was like it came out the same day. 2077 news, they've released, some of the big changes coming up, and they sound pretty groovy.
Quite a bit of changes. So just to read their official list. So if you don't get Phantom Liberty and you just stay with the regular system, there's still a major overhaul to it with 2.0. So they're not going with version 1.8. They're apparently going straight to 2.0. So the free updates are the redesign of the skill tree and perks. So that looks like it's pretty interesting way of doing it.
It'll be the third or fourth time they've done that.
Yeah. No. Well, they revamped it, but I think they're re-engineering.
Yeah, this is a true major overhaul of it, so it's a little bit different, but you'll still have to go back and redo everything. Like reassign however it's going to work, you're going to have to reassign your stuff, which is okay.
Yep. They're revamping cyberware. and basically putting in a limitation on how much cyberware you can have, which sounds interesting. From my understanding, it's going to affect your health and other stats if you cyber up too much, which is nice that they're finally implementing that.
Yeah, apparently we can start to go cyber psycho now, which that'll add an interesting mechanic to the game.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily going to go cyber psycho. Like, you're not going to be able, or you're not going to lose control of V, but it's going to cause some delusions, I hope. They said it's going to be similar to how edgerunners depicted it. But even still, with edgerunners, you had, the characters killing each other because they're in delusional
losing control. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. I like with cyber psychosis as it has traditionally been implemented in the game. I would expect like either a blackout or like it turns into a cutscene where you're just kind of watching, like having an out of body experience while your body goes crazy and just ape shit.
Yep.
Or like I said, you black out and come to and you're just surrounded by bodies. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. I just know that that's how I'd probably do it.
Right, and the other thing with cyberware comes armor. So, from my understanding, clothes are not really going to be necessarily contain armor. I'm sure the mods that you can implement into clothing will still have like armor point values that you can add, but overall it sounds like clothes themselves will not necessarily have armor, which I don't know.
Yeah, I'm torn on that. On the one hand, like some clothes shouldn't have armor, like your silk shirt, whatever, that shouldn't really be armored. But once you start moving into like the heavy leathers or the armor jacks or any of that, those should have armor values.
Yep.
I just wish they'd move away completely from the whole level-based gear system, or make it like a tunable, like in Ghost Recon, where you can turn off the level-based gear and everything just has flat numbers.
Yep.
I hate the whole concept of level-based gear. I've talked about it many times, but I don't know about turning armor into a cybernetics only option. Like that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Next change goes with vehicle combat and car chases.
This is a big one.
Yeah, so apparently you're going to be able to shoot guns from your vehicle while driving. There's
Finally
actually going to have weapons in vehicles, which I think is for the if you get the paid expansion, not in regular. I guess we're calling it vanilla. But you will be able to fire weapons from cars. You will also be able to use melee weapons from your motorcycles, which
that's neat. I hadn't heard that one yet.
I kind of like, because ever since seeing Black Rain back in the late 80s,
I was just
90s,
going to say the same thing.
Kind of
katanas on motorcycles.
Yeah, which was fun. The combat
katanas.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, we'll get to that when we get to that. Go ahead.
Combat AI improvements. So I guess the mods are going to be a little smarter or a little more random in their actions. Not quite sure exactly what that's going to be entailing. And the new police system. So
yeah, I'm excited about the new police system. They'll have vehicle chases with you, which is something that's been sorely needed.
Yeah, so this other article that I'm reading, so there's a guy on the CDPR forums who's kind of listing the specific improvements that have been either said in a post or during an interview. So he has like a separate list of all the changes that are supposed to be happening. And he kind of breaks that one sentence down on what the new police system is. So it's basically a rebuild. You're going to have vehicle chasing, hacking or damage to your vehicles, barricades are also supposed to be set up. So if you try to escape, they'll actually try to form a barricade, and then MaxTac will arrive with AVs if you go too high. And I guess there's going to be a 5th star when you're fighting NCPD. And
Nice.
supposedly, and again, this is just through this guy's, from what he's heard and various sources from CDPR, you'll be able to intercept NCPD radio to find out what their plan of attack is against you.
Oh, that's a nice little addition.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. But again, his list is kind of, got to take it with a grain of salt, I think.
Yeah, if he's not a recognized employee, I mean, it's all. It's probably a little bit better than rumor. The guy's got a pretty good track record, but it's nothing I would guarantee.
Right. Next is a bunch of UI and UX improvements. They don't necessarily list exactly what they are, but from what the other poster is saying is that there's more transmog management. The way, well, cyberware and the perks are going to have a full redesign. The HUD display is supposed to be improved. Phone interface is supposed to be improved as well, with the ability to see recent contacts, messages, and contacts. Not sure what that means, all sorted alphabetically. New improvements to inventory management and information. What other UI? I know there was another one that he mentioned that was kind of cool. Huge expansion.
Still no flashlights. Maybe with Phantom
pedestrians, maybe. Greatly updated. Yeah, that's about it for the UI. Vehicle combat. They also mentioned that you're going to be able to jump out of your vehicle and attack immediately, which sounds interesting. Vehicles will be able to be purchased from a website now, so you don't have to go out and hunt for them. You can actually purchase them directly, I assume similar to how you get your apartments.
I mean, on the one hand, that sounds cool, but I kind of liked the idea of going and like looking at the car and deciding if you want to buy it.
Yeah, and what else? Yeah, enemies will start chasing you in their own cars. So that sounds like it's going to be fun. Another UI improvement is the minimap is going to be more dynamic, so you'll be able to do a little better zooming in, zooming out with it.
That would be nice, because trying to drive according to the minimap has always been a headache.
Yeah, so loot, items, and crafting have changed. Don't know what that kind of impact is going to be, because crafting is, at least in the current game, it's kind of the main way you make money, or at least that's what I've found, because they remove that infinite loop or infinite gear.
See, I still don't understand why they did that. Like, why would you remove that from a game with no online component?
Well, I think why would you remove that from the game if they say crafting is supposed to be your main avenue of gaining an income, right, or generating money?
Yeah.
However, you have to be able to generate legendary crafting items to even start making money. So your beginning crafting
like
is
I
not
said,
going to
what
even
difference-
generate any money. Yeah, what is the difference?
It's like cheats. If you want to cheat the game and rob yourself of whatever experience the game designers want you to have, as long as it's not online, as long as you're not impacting other players, I don't see why they care. I guess that's never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
I personally, I hate having to grind for cash. I bloody hate it. Especially when all that cash allows me to do is look the way I want and have the weapons that I want.
Yep.
Like, let me have those things in my own single player, non-online game. I've never understood the philosophy behind that decision.
Right. And then the final free update thing is new radio stations. So there's 3 new radio stations that are coming out. One is completely new with complete new music. I believe it's called Growl FM, which is the radio host is Sasha Grey. And all the music
I know
people.
Yeah, all the music was from that contest they did where people submitted their own stuff.
Yep.
I'm very interested to hear what that's going to sound like.
Yes. Or what do people think of cyberpunk music to be? I think there's various tastes and attitude towards that. I mean, I'm more of an industrial type of hard industrial, heavy metal. When I view cyberpunk music versus,
I mean, when it
people who are
comes
doing
to
synthwave.
in-universe music, I would think it'd be every bit as diverse as music is today.
Yep.
Like, I want industrial, I want hip hop, I want jazz, I want rock, I want heavy metal. I mean, hell, there would even be country. Nomad's got to listen to something.
Yeah.
Now, what each of those genres would sound like, that would be interesting. But the idea that there's just like this all-encompassing, like cyberpunk is all this sound, that's always been a really weird take for me.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you've generated various playlists.
Oh, yeah.
And
That are ridiculously diverse and eclectic.
Yep.
I mean,
and an FYI,
on the sound. Good.
Some fanboy, for those who are listening, some fanboy actually went out and created those playlists, I think on YouTube.
Yeah, he created he created all of my the soundtrack albums that I created. He made a playlist, getting as close as he could to all those songs. It's really cool. Whoever you are, dude, you're awesome. I could tell you who he is, but I'll have to look on YouTube really quick. I wasn't expecting to.
Peli Rami?
That sounds about right. For some reason, my YouTube.
All you have to do is put in Datafortress2020.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So, those who want to listen to Wisdom's playlists, you head out there. Right. So
my playlist is compiled by someone else, which is just about one of the coolest things I've found on YouTube. One of the coolest things fans have done. Yeah, Peli Rami.
Yeah.
Or Rami. Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you, Peli.
So that ends what you get for free. The paid expansion is you get a new district, Dogtown, brand new storyline and characters, new quests, gigs, boss fights, and more. Vehicle missions, not sure exactly what that means, and airdrops, endless dynamic events. That sounds interesting, although it doesn't really say exactly what it is. A whole new relic skill tree. So apparently, I think this is kind of like what is it? The little shrines in Witcher, in which you power it up. Your various runes. It's supposed to be kind of like that, in which you go to various data terms within Dogtown to kind of get more points towards the skill tree, is my understanding of it. 100 plus new items, so weapons, cyberware, cars, and fashion. Vehicle missile launchers, which sounds fabulous. And then,
Indeed.
and then the level cap is now increased to 60. I heard it was supposed to go to 70, but apparently they corrected that.
Well, I'm just glad that there's a new level cap because, man, it sucks having to like bottom out certain areas just to get to the areas you want.
Yep.
At 10 points isn't much, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. So here's the list that who's this poster? Razcott or Roscott, I believe his name is. He did a post in the forums, in the general forums of CDPR for Cyberpunk 2077. He lists out skill tree rebuild from scratch with new abilities. Level cap is now 60, and he doesn't or they, I should say, because I'm not sure if it's who they are. They don't break down what's paid and what's not. So this is just all the various improvements that are supposed to be happening. Improved inventory management and information. So I think they're closer to what was originally designed for Cyberpunk 2077, with how you can view the item and kind of take a look at its specs.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Improved HUD, some kind of dynamic HUD. As an example, when you start talking to Myers, the entire HUD disappears. Not sure what that's about. New phone interface. So, like I said, it's dividing all the information into, or putting it into categories: recent contacts, messages, and contacts. Clothes will only be aesthetic. Armor is indeed linked to cyberware, but actual armor, breastplates, plate carriers, etc. will still have armor stats. Don't know what that means.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes, new clothes.
That means the things that are specifically armor will have armor stats.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm on board with that.
Transmog management, you will actually be able to do transmog in clothing stores and not just in your apartment. Abilities will be linked to cyberware. I don't know what that fully means. I assume similar to what there is now, where you have to have a certain level of stat to be able to use it, or if there's actual perk that you need to have to use some of the cyberware. Not 100% sure. New ways of killing people hand to hand and more aggressive. Sounds interesting.
Maybe we'll get some kicks.
Yeah. A cooldown will be added to healing items and grenades, so you can no longer spam them. Which kind of is
about
annoying.
that.
I don't know
Kinda
about
like
that
spamming
either.
grenades.
I like spamming grenades too, because then you have to go with, the
funny.
automatic guns or your LMG. Yeah. There are netrunner changes. Now you can make combos with quick hacks. You don't have to wait around because you can actually queue up what quick hacks you want to do to a particular person. So you can actually arrange to hit them with a reboot of the optics, sonic shock to make sure that they don't tell anybody, and then a suicide. So you can actually queue up the quick hacks. You can hack and destroy enemy vehicles. There was spotted something like Netrunner Booster that made RAM unlimited for a short while. So there's some type of booster to give you unlimited RAM, which I'm sure is probably a quick cooldown. So you might have 5 seconds to upload a bunch of stuff. Also, it says that you can hack through your monowire. I think that's probably a talent that you need to acquire to do so. And I don't know what advantage that will give you. More net running changes. Hacks are divided into two categories. Ones that expose your position, which are basically combat hacks, and there's ones that won't. When you do get detected, you have a progress bar to show that you're being detected, and they're triangulating where you might be. So you probably want to cue your hacks in an appropriate manner. Enemy netrunners will have been buffed. Okay. Now, instead of trying to constantly overheat you, they're actually going to use other quick hacks against you, like disable weapons and cyberware on you, as well as some other ones.
That could get real dangerous real fast.
Yeah. The relic ability, so I think that was already mentioned, that it's going to be part of the Dogtown, that you have to find these old Militech terminals to basically get points towards the relic tree. Some of them look like they're just overpowered abilities.
It says ultra powers, and I don't know how I feel about that kind of stuff. A lot of the cyberware already seems to go in the beyond belief category.
Yeah.
So I hope they keep that kind of thing to a minimum. I prefer my Cyberpunk to be grounded.
Yeah. It's going to be possible to increase the number of installable cyberware with perks. So I guess you're going to be able to get more slots in various areas. Some of the NPCs react to your characters. These NPCs seem to be marked with green circles on the minimap. So I guess you're going to have ability to go in and interact with some of these NPCs. I was doing another playthrough recently, and there's a lot of NPCs that just start having a conversation with each other, and some of the dialogue is interesting to listen to.
Yeah, I've always liked that. I mean, there's a reason that people like to just walk through the streets doing nothing but observing.
Yep.
There's crazy shit happening all the time in that game.
Yeah. So there's going to be new weapons, new cyberware. There's going to be legal weapons and cyberware that you can get from Dogtown. New Ripper docks. Well, they put in new Ripper docks, but I don't know how many docks there are going to be. Installing cyberware at a Ripper dock is going to have an animation of you sitting down and you getting up. There might be additional animations in it. They're not 100% sure. Cyberware, like I said, was going to be limited. You're going to have cyberpsychosis, which basically causes you to have penalized skills and stats, and your health is going to go down. But I think with certain perks, you kind of will be able to stabilize that. There's going to be a new available area near Orbital Air Space Center. That's going to sound interesting. I wonder if you can fly to Crystal Palace.
I mean, that would be awful cool, but it would be also cool just to be able to walk around the Space Center, because you can see it, but you can't reach it.
Yeah, I've tried swimming out there, and I could only get it looked like I got to about 20 feet away from the shore before it zoomed me out. Yeah, it turns you back around, like you can't go there yet. Damn it. I like the new roads in the Badlands. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I kind of figured you would. New vehicles. Like I said, you can jump out of vehicles and attack. Ability to get all vehicles in the game through purchase and missions, including those who drive NPCs and that you can't own right now. And the purchase of the cars are going to be done through the website. They also talked about new vehicle buying system. It says similar to GTA 5. I would have to ask you, Wisdom, what GTA 5 had from a vehicle buying system.
Usually it gives you like any vehicle, most of the vehicles you buy, you can at least choose between like 8 different colors. So hopefully there'll be some of that. Some level of customization, at least color wise, would be nice.
Yes, it would be nice.
Just like with the crafting system, like if you craft an item of clothing, you should be able to pick what colors it comes out of.
Yeah,
it comes out as.
Agreed. You'll be able to purchase and use armed vehicles whose destruction capacity can be improved. I assume that's part of Dogtown in the whole paid expansion.
I would assume so too, but at least that's some level of customization.
Yeah. Again, talked about the police build out, huge expansion to enemy AI. Don't know all the details on that. There will be hunters who will look for us in the city to kill us. So
I love that idea. I love that idea so much.
Have people with grudges against us send enemies to try to kill us, which sounds interesting.
Yeah, way back in GTA San Andreas, like if you owed gangsters money, they would send bounty hunters after you. And I've loved that ever since. I think Fallout New Vegas did something similar where, you know, you get on the wrong faction and they send parties out after you. Red Dead Redemption, they had bounty hunters who would come. So to see that in Cyberpunk is very exciting. It adds a nice touch to the game.
Nice. Yeah, it will definitely be fun to see what's that entailed. Enemies will chase us and fight in cars and motorcycles. Enemy archetypes have been redone to give more variety. So, not 100% sure exactly what that means. I'm trying to think of.
I'm thinking that means we won't just be killing like identical clones over and over again when we come into like gang attacks and whatnot.
Yeah, I've also noticed in the game that, you know, there are archetypes, right? There's ones with smart guns, there's ones who are just melee, and there's also, like, I've often noticed, like, the shotgun guy or the guy who has the LMG is usually the tougher of a group if you find them or combat or you fight them. I'm wondering if they're going to have more netrunners scattered throughout the various gangs.
I mean, as far as a big city type game like this, like some repetition on the street or in encounters is to be expected. But I think Cyberpunk has already done a pretty darn good job, especially with the updates that have already hit, at kind of lessening those instances where you see like 5 dudes with the same clothing, same body style, everything the same, just walking down the street like it's normal. So if they lessen that even further, that would be awesome.
Yep. So huge enemy AI expansion, hunters, archetypes, pedestrians are mostly bug fixes, so whatever they're doing to pedestrians. I'm not sure what bugs I've seen. A lot of duplicates. A lot of the same.
I'm thinking they're talking about the duplicates.
Yeah. Supposedly there's going to be new romantic moments and unlocked new dialogues. Not sure exactly what that's going to entail. Whether it's just additional texts you get from your love interests.
Yeah.
Or if there's something
sadly
even
there won't.
that.
Sadly, there won't be any new romance options.
Right.
But there will be new content for the existing romance options, which, I mean, hopefully there'll be something where you can continue to feel like you're dating them after their specific quest line has come to fruition, as it were. Because it always felt weird to me that, like, they would send you texts, but you show up wherever they are, and they're just kind of there. They don't talk to you. They don't interact with you in any way. They're just there.
Well, I know for PCs they have a few mods, in which they do like an additional texting, right? To the point where you can
Well,
actually
sure.
actually get in fights and actually break up. But there was also
I mean, PCs get all the fun.
there was also a mod in which you can go to like restaurants and bars and sit and you can have one of your companions actually be sitting with you and having a drink. Granted, the dialogue is the same as if you approach them outside of the bar or wherever they might be, and get that
Sure.
very limited amount of dialogue that you do get. The difficulty curve is different. I'm sure it is. The UI and UX have been greatly updated. I don't know exact specifics around that. Improvements to vehicle driving. Attacks on vehicles. So, like I mentioned, you can shoot from your vehicle as well as use melee weapons while riding motorcycles. Vehicle combat also available from third-person perspective. Endings within Phantom Liberty will affect the base game. Then based on the ending within Phantom Liberty, you might be able to unlock a new ending in the base game. Some people have said because the new NPC is like this super hacker who says they can probably fix V. So I'm
Wouldn't that be nice?
If that is the option in which V gets fixed. But not sure how well I like that compared to the rest of them.
I like it. I don't want my V to have just an automatic death sentence no matter what. That would piss me off.
Well, it's not so much a death sentence as, hunting for the cure. So you can have that sequel game as you continue to hunt for the cure.
Right, and even if that's all that it leaves off, that's fine by me. The only ending that has any amount of hope for it whatsoever is the Nomad ending, which is fitting because that's my favorite ending anyway. But yeah, if there's a way to keep going, I'm for it.
Right. There's going to be improved physics. One example talks about the ability to take out tires on vehicles rather than destroy the vehicle itself. Fights between factions from vehicles and persecutions. Not sure what that statement is. I assume that...
Yeah, I don't know what they mean by persecutions, but the idea of different factions doing drive-bys on each other sounds pretty amazing to me.
It does. I mean, what was it, 1.5, in which they introduced the random police chases? I don't know if you've seen that in the game.
Yeah, where, you see a car go by and then like 3 cop cars go chasing it. That was very exciting the first time I saw it. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Small orders or missions that are generated randomly, so I guess that's going to be able to help with continued play. So you'll be able to, once you finish a lot of your missions, you can just continue playing the game on those random missions.
Yeah. It needed that. Something to keep you playing after you've beat the game. Because not everybody wants to go back and redo it all, especially if you've done it through 3 main storylines.
Yep.
Or 3 main roles.
He also posted Radiant Quests, which I think reading in the comments, what Radiant Quests are, basically the new quests from Dogtown, and from the expansion. Next one is a whole variety of conflicts and activities that are generated in Night City to give the character a characteristic of a living world in which we can intervene or ignore them. So
what that sounds like to me is like if you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2, you'll come across like 2 people having an argument and it'll turn into a shootout, and you can either jump in on that or just ignore it completely. And if that's the case, that's fucking awesome, because I love that kind of thing. It does make the world feel more alive.
Yep. So that's that. Enemies chasing you in their vehicles. if you run away. Supposedly, there's an overhaul of the weather and atmosphere.
Yeah, not having like a week of sandstorms in the game would be nice.
Exactly. Improved character models and facial animations. That I'm not 100% sure how that affects you, especially with, I assume it's going to be based on the hardware you have, and whether that's going to be actually good for your system or not.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I play on a very large screen television on the PS5, and I don't know, facial like expressions. I don't know if that's something I ever really paid much attention to before, so I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
Like outside of like dialogue and cutscenes.
Yeah. The climbing animation for V seems to be improved. Don't know what that means. I mean, I don't see... I've never had an issue with climbing, but...
No, I'm not sure what's going into that either. Yeah. Maybe a little bit closer to some parkour type stuff. I don't know. It's that one's kind of vague and undefined. I'm not really sure what that is.
As I mentioned earlier, the minimap is more dynamic. Zoom in, zoom out effects to make it smoother and to improve the speed. The 3 radio stations I mentioned, supposedly there's going to be a new minigame called Trauma Drama. I guess it's going to be a side-scroller game, similar to Roach.
Roach Race.
Yeah. And finally, a new side quest for Vic that will force you to basically redo all your cyberware.
To reduce the newly added humanity cost that gives stats debuffs. So there's a way you can kind of mitigate that, which is cool.
All right.
I don't know. All that sounds like pretty good news. I am disappointed that there's still no word on like a flashlight. I want a flashlight, damn it. But hopefully with some of the new cyber options that we'll get some different cyber optics, so you can get some low light or something.
Yes. Although if you ever get to PC, I believe someone created a mod.
Well, of course they did on PC.
Well, I'm
also like, there's rumors that you'll be able to get aesthetic cybernetics. So you'll hopefully that comes true, and we can actually have like cyber arms that we can see and whatnot.
Yeah, some things that aren't being changed, from my understanding, is character creation. There's not too many any changes to that, even to the point of your appearance options. Supposedly, there's not going to be any new additions or new hairstyles or.
That's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more personal modification options are always better, but I mean, at this point, I'll take what I can get. We know they're switching to the Unreal Engine, so for the next game, so hopefully they'll make the best of that. And since Unreal Engine is practically built on the third-person perspective model, hopefully we'll get a little bit closer, a little bit more with the next game.
I still like first person.
I know, but that's the beauty of the Unreal Engine, is first person would always be an option. Like GTA has a fucking first person option.
Right.
I don't know. We're just hoping.
Well, we got several years before Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, if we see it,
2078 comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's about it from 2077. So, the other thing in 2077 news is they posted a quiz to find out who would be your choom.
They did. You can just go to what is it? Cyberpunk.net, and it'll be there on the main page. You can just take your quiz, find out who your buddy in the cyberpunk world would be.
Yeah. So
who'd you get, Will?
I got Us Cracks. So,
that's awesome. I would love to hang out with Us Cracks. I got Adam Smasher.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know that anybody would want to hang out with Adam Smasher, but apparently I do. So.
Well, I'd like to hear the paragraph that was written for Adam Smasher, because I'm going to read what I got for Us Cracks. So,
all right, I'll turn around after you do that and read mine.
My best friends is the Us Cracks. I appear a people person. I'm a people person. Always surrounded by a group of chooms, spending eddies left and right and having fun. Me and the Us Cracks bonded over our shared love of a fun night out. And on the surface, my life is great and everyone envies me. But after every party, I come back to my empty apartment and realize that it's all superficial and my life lacks real connections. I cry myself to sleep, only to wake up tomorrow, put on a fake smile, and do it all over again.
Pon shit, my man. Pon shit. My best friend is Adam Smasher. I am a force to be reckoned with, strong, independent, and determined. When I put my mind to something, I don't look back, and I'll achieve my goals no matter what. It's these qualities that you may think Smasher appreciates in you, but instead, it's probably your total disregard for others and your pitch-perfect menacing aura. But living this way means leaving a trail of broken relationships in your wake. Prepare for a very sad and lonely end if you keep this up. Wah, wah, wah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the test is fun. I've seen somehow. I know you can get Rebecca somehow in this. I plan to take the quiz several times more and and see what happens. Yeah, it's good fun. It's a nice little distraction.
Yep. So now for our in-depth review of Danger Gal Dossier.
1 second before we do that, I want to recommend a new graphic novel. Okay. It's called Enhanced. They did a big Kickstarter on it. I think I mentioned it in the past, but it's out now. The story is kind of generic. I'm not going to lie about that, but the art is fantastic. So if you see it in your comic shop, go ahead and pick it up. It's gorgeous.
From New Frontiers?
Yep, from New Frontiers. Just thought I'd throw a little bit of advertising out to some people who are still putting out some cyberpunk comics. We know that there's also a new cyberpunk comic coming out from Dark Horse.
Yep.
And the 2077 novel was just released. We mentioned that last show as well.
About a third of the way through it. I'm a slow reader.
I still don't have a copy of it. I can't afford shit.
So far, I'm enjoying it. Definitely better than Bite Boy and Bite Girl. that was another thing at Gen Con that was announced, that Bite Boy and Bite Girl are dead. Dead. They are not coming back.
Which is the first time anybody in a professional sense has mentioned them.
Yes.
Does that mean that they were officially part of 2020 canon? Holy shit.
He didn't really say. He avoided that topic.
As well he should.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other media that's coming out around Cyberpunk. I thought there was a movie I saw as a prequel, but maybe not. I know the creator is coming out, which looks pretty crazy.
It looks pretty darn interesting. I'm very excited about that one.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's about it. I think we can jump straight into Danger Girl. Sorry about the interruption.
All right. Yes, so Danger Girl. So what is Danger Gal? Dossier. So it looks like it pretty much is a book of NPCs and organizations those NPCs are a part of. There are a few well-known ones that are basically cyberpunk history, like Maelstrom, Bozos, Trauma Team, Edgerunners. And then you have the new ones, which include Sixth Street, Zoners, Generation Red, which I was surprised that they added kids into the game.
Honestly, I mean, kids have always been part of the game, and like the first Cyberpunk spin-off, or the first pseudo sequel to 2020 was Cyber Generation, which was completely based around kids in the cyberpunk world. So it's not unheard of, and it's nice to see, honestly. It's weird how in most role-playing games, like, kids are just non-existent.
Well,
it's like in video games. Like they're just not there. Nobody thinks about them. Nobody talks about them, except as victims.
Yeah, and the problem with kids, especially in role-playing games, is that whole, even with like animals, right? Certain people get triggered if you do.
It's true.
If you do something,
but I mean that's what
extreme.
That's what session zeros are for. That's also what like not gaming with sociopaths is for. So
yeah, I mean, so speaking of children, so I was actually in a D&D game in which there was a bunch of urchins that were stealing from people. We raided their little base camp, and they were not just thieves; they were murderers, and they murdered almost the whole entire party until I started stabbing back, and everybody at the table looked at me and it's like, dude, even the GM looked at me and was like, dude, they're kids. I'm like, yeah, they're trying to kill me.
You just Frank's head off. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Do you see him stabbing Lisa like multiple times over there? Like, sure, they're kids. That just means.
So basically, I
hit.
stabbed back on one. I think I killed one of them, and the rest of the group of children stopped fighting once they saw one of their own die. I was like, good. Stop stabbing us. Cleric, go heal, or go try to bring back everybody who just got killed. Because, and again, I don't know if that's because I'm a sociopath, or am I just, this is make-believe, and make-believe is, you know.
And this is the moment, folks, when Tales from the Forlorn Dope got put on watch list.
Yeah, well, then I have a Call of Cthulhu game in which there was a sacrifice that needed to be made, and one of the players went out and got a stray dog to do the sacrifice. And one of the other players was like, if you kill that dog, I'm not playing this game anymore.
Yeah,
so
I can get behind that action.
There was a debate, and of course this was like in London back in the 1920s, so it's like, all right, so what if we get a little street urchin? Oh, well, that's fine. Like, you people are psychopaths. You rather not hurt an imaginary dog, but you'll hurt an imaginary kid.
Yeah, we're a weird frickin' bunch.
We are. Anyways, so yes, so speaking of kids, this book actually has a group of street kids, which kind of, well, I think it's like Cyber Generation, right? and taking that tone. And even Seth Skorkowski talks about his kid campaign, in which he ran a game for adolescents, kids growing up into true edgerunners.
Well, I mean, they're prevalent in the media. I mean, shit. Both as heroes and protagonists. Everybody remembers the little kid drug dealer from RoboCop 2.
Yep. I love that they have the bozos representing.
Indeed.
And the various... apparently the bozos are now fractioned or fractured with different groups.
Which makes total sense, because they're all nutbags.
Yep.
I can't imagine that they were ever a coherent group in the first place. That has to be like herding cats.
Yeah. They also brought in 6th Street, which is a Cyberpunk 2077 gang. So I think this was like the initial beginnings of 6th Street. 2020.
Yeah.
I do like a lot of the background stories of some of these NPCs.
I mean, they put a lot of detail into the various groups, and yeah, some of those backstories are really cool. But can I take just a minute to point out my favorite thing about this book?
What's that?
David Ackerman writes for it.
That he does.
I don't know why, but anytime I see any of the old crew still working on this stuff, it warms my heart.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say that Jay Gray might have posted which authors wrote what somewhere. Whether it was in the Discord channel or somewhere else. So I just gotta hunt for that to figure out who it is. But yeah, it's nice to see some old school guys. But like I said, David Ackerman was at Gen Con, and he was definitely representing Altor Surian. So, and it's like, who's it? Will Moss is going to be contributing to the next Tales from the Red, Forlorn Dopes.
Yeah.
So.
He's going to be reprising some of his stuff with the Forlorn Hope again. That's exciting.
The one thing, well, I'm sure it's not one thing, but a thing that I noticed that I was kind of, I don't know if it's annoyed but maybe it's just my attitude towards consistency. So they do post the Digital Divas, who are a rocker boy band or rocker girl band that was used in the scenario Digital Divas in the data pack scenario. However, in the data pack, it says this all-women's group. However, in this book, only the lead singer is a woman. So, not sure
I've seen that brought up a couple of places. I don't personally know how I feel about that. They don't really mention why that change has been made.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's some kind of in-game lore for it.
I don't know.
Either way, it is an interesting change. It's maybe we'll get some more information in the future. That would be nice.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, so not sure exactly why they made that change. But they have the edgerunners. Not sure how I feel about a guy dressed up as a chef running around Night City, hacking people.
There's always weird stuff going on.
Seems more like a Batman villain than an edgerunner. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, so do the bozos, to be honest. But
well, the bozos are the bozos. So a group of people dressed up as clowns. In the 90s, I didn't quite see it, but then Juggalos came along and proved that bozos could exist.
Yeah. How fucking weird.
So, that's fun. Yeah, and then you have the maelstroms, the piranhas. Oh, that was the one thing I was wondering about, because I've never used the piranhas in my 2020 game. I always thought they were a booster gang, combat gang, but it's from this book it seems like they are or a party gang.
I look at it like this. I mean, there's like 25 years difference between 2020 and 2045, and the gangs that do survive would have to go. I mean, they'd change quite a bit over time.
True.
I mean, I know the Maelstrom in my game don't really. They're not the same as the Maelstrom in 2045 or 2077. They're still borged out psychos, but there are minor differences, and there's definitely differences in my Voodoo Boys and the Voodoo Boys as presented in 2020 and the Voodoo Boys as presented in 2045 and 2077. So, I mean, these gangs evolve over time.
Right. Yeah, so in the Night City source book, Piranha's a party gang that runs its activities out of an old convenience store in the zone. The Piranhas live to party and love to have fun. Admittedly, no one is quite sure what constitutes fun in the Piranhas books. If you don't bug them, they'll leave you alone. So, they're D4D threat level. Which means, how deadly are they? D4D. D means they are boosters. Oh wait, D means they're average skilled, so base of 12. 4 is what types of weapons they use, which is melee weapons and small pistols. And then D for their armor, which is leather and Kevlar vest. So they're a little combative, which it sounds like they kind of took a different approach and became a gang that does parties and events. Also, you have the Sightseers, which is a nomad family or nomad pack of the Avocado Nation, Aldecaldo Nation.
Yeah,
I think it would have been nice if they wrote a little more about nomad structure in the description of the Sightseers to kind of give a little more background into the lore.
Yeah, it feels like they were holding some stuff back, maybe for the long-rumored Rusty Chrome or whatever it was, the Nomad source book that was supposed to come out.
Right. I like that they put the trauma team in here.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest and best look at trauma team we've had so far in any iteration of the game.
Yeah, and bringing out the different roles on board the AV.
I'm gonna mention again the art. the art seems to, they use Monster Fight Club's miniatures as the basis for all their art. And so
Well,
it all looks pretty good, but it also like kind of looks weirdly proportional.
yeah, you don't know if this was conceptual art that was made for Cyberpunk or specifically made for Monster Fight Club, right? And whether or not
I
it's something
I mean, I
that's
do know that the miniatures were released first. I don't know if the concept art came first that the miniatures were based off of, or if they used those miniatures as the basis of the concept art. But I do know that pretty much every NPC you see in Edgerunners or in a Danger Gal Dossier, you can get as a miniature from the Monster Fight Club.
well, I mean, if you remember, Danger Gal Dossier was announced back in 2021, or was it 2020? I want to say 2021.
I think you're right. I think it was 2021. But by then, like some of the miniatures from Monster Fight Club had already been put out.
Right, and so when Artelsaurian announced Danger Gal, they could have had an agreement with Monster Fight Club that we're going to create a supplement to kind of represent all the characters you guys are creating within your game, and
Oh
stat
yeah,
them
that's very
out
possible.
and stat them out for Red, right? So it might have been a collaboration between the two to, hey, let's draw up some characters. Monster Fight Club, you guys create these characters in 3D, right? And we will create the in-game lore around each of the individuals. Good question for Jay Gray or James Hunt when they come
Definitely.
back on, which we're trying to work on for them to come back on and give us some more lowdowns on what's going on. But yeah, and then you have the zoners who look like they're just combat zone people who are basically revolutionaries trying to get the haves to equally distribute to the poorer places. I mean, it's good lore on why they were created or why this organization was created in the background around them.
Yeah, I mean it's just nice to have some like combat zone representatives. Uh, just your average just your average zoners, just so you know what to expect.
Yep.
Um, I like the Tiger Claws entry. I like seeing a young Wakako. Yeah,
And how she lost her first husband.
yeah, yeah.
I think the
First of many.
Yeah, I think the Net 54 section could have used a couple additions. Like, I know back in one of the old interface, they actually had, was it an interface? I think it was an interface in which they had a news crew kind of statted out.
I want to say that was issue 3, but I'm probably wrong.
But just to have, here's the driver, here's the cameraman, here's the talent. It seems like in this one, kind of have that, but I don't know. Would have liked to have seen like a news van.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing your typical media crew as opposed to just the person on camera. Like that would have been nice. Like some description of how they work together. And
was there any specific NPC that you kind of liked or an entry?
I liked seeing Serial in here. which is, of course, a reference to serial killer from the movie Hackers.
Yep, and Matt Lillard's character from
Yeah.
Red Games.
Brought into the game because he was featured in a live play playing that character in the early days of Red.
Yep. There's actually 3 episodes.
Yeah, it was very cool seeing Matthew Lillard reprise that role.
The one outstanding character I liked, and it's a mook, the Fool from Bozos. And basically they're given the, what is it, the Bag of Shame or something? What is it called? Comes out along the hands and fists and mask. Or maybe just... Bozos see this as a trial of failure, but you're going to fool enough to want to sign up and willing to
For the Bozos, I think my favorite NPCs are Dead Ringer. I like Jester's obviously Harley Quinn, but Dead Ringer are kind of their own.
Sorry. It's called the Good Luck Bag. It's basically this mask that they put on the new recruits. And if you if a new recruit happens, you pass the mask along. If you don't, you die.
There you go. That's some interesting role-playing aspects right there.
Yeah, I also liked, what was the girl's name? The one with the rocket launcher.
I don't know.
Tetra. Just this little girl with like this freaking 4-shot rocket launcher.
Yeah, talk about your dangerous kids.
I thought was good. But yeah, definitely a lot of great NPCs and backgrounds for each of them. And the character design is pretty cool.
I think for the generation, I liked High Stick. The kid on roller skates with a sharpened hockey stick. Like that's pretty frightening.
But yeah, so to your point, almost every single character, I think, in here has a miniature from Monster Fight Club.
Yeah.
So, maybe not all of them, but the majority of them. Definitely the majority of them.
I would assume that any that don't exist already will be coming out in the future.
Yep. And who knows, there might be a Danger Gal 2 Dossier, in which they flesh out even more of the gangs. But I really want them to try to push out more lore content than just producing a book of stats or a book of gear, similar to the releases that 2020 had, right, in which you actually got a little more exposure to the world.
Yeah, I would very much like to see like a red version of Home of the Brave, or Night City, something to give a bigger picture of the world, and flesh out more of the changes from 2020 to Red.
Yep. The one thing I did think that was well done within this book was that they took all the special gear that was listed underneath some of these NPCs and put it all into its own section. Now, the majority of the gear is actually DLC content that they're actually publishing in a book, which is also nice to see. Granted, you do have the interfaces, but just to have a solid book with all the details in it is nice. There is a few items, actually 2 items that I think were not in DLCs, and that was the Militech Tactical Umbrella, which sounds fun.
I like the tactical umbrella.
And
That's your
Go ahead.
typical Avengers, like, Steed and Mrs. Peel gadgetry, or James Bond gadgetry. It's nice to see.
And then the Sandrod Hello Cutie Micro Cutie with the hyper burst, in which it purrs.
Somebody looked at that GIF of the dude using the cat as a submachine gun. So I said it last episode when we did our brief review of this. I love seeing the 2020 stuff brought forward into Red.
Yep.
A lot of the guns get their official representation in Red. That's really nice. I like the new cyberware. And other gear. It's nice to have stats for a bicycle. Like, I know it sounds silly, but like, that's legitimate transportation in a big city. A bicycle.
Yes. And the information around the AV4s that some of these organizations have, I would have liked to have seen a cop car created for the NCEPD section, or maybe at a riot van, or some type of vehicle with the cops as well. Understand that they didn't have space or time to produce one, which is fine.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that they represent the NCPD in here, but they don't give us that, but they do give us the Trauma Team AV4. I mean, realistically, the two would be almost identical. Just the police van would just be an APC as opposed to having facilities akin to an ambulance. But yeah.
And then after the gear section, they get into NPC creation guidelines, which I hadn't read at the time, and that's why I wanted to wait until I read this back to back to understand all the nuances. This section actually kind of reminded me of a little bit from Listen Up, You Primitive Screwheads. I want to say
with the contact creation.
Yeah, who did that article? Was it Benjamin Wright or was it Spike? In which they kind of listed out the different types of power levels that an NPC should have.
Yeah, I like that they did the same kind of thing here.
Yeah, in which they say, hey,
with
this
mooks,
is
lieutenants, mini bosses, and bosses.
A boss should have this many skill points with this many stat points. Figure he has
then
this
you
many
can
hit
harden them up.
points. Yep. And also giving you what gear they should be using.
What gear, what skills they would have access to. I like that they talk about, non-combat NPCs who are there.
Disconnect.
In a situation like this, though, that's perfectly understandable. If you're trying to create contacts, you don't want to have to. I hate having to flip back and forth through several books just to do one thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Too many years of Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition, where if you want to create something, you need 8 different books to do it.
Yes.
So anything that minimizes that is fine by me.
Yeah, so the article I'm referring to from Listen Up, You Primitive Screwhead is one from Ross Spike Win, campaign style, Specifically under that, there is a section called Power Level Defining the Campaign. Or, sorry, Character Power Defining the Campaign on page 94. So he broke it down into movers, operators, heroic, and super heroic. Which is kind of mooks, lieutenants, mini bosses, and bosses. Granted.
Yeah, same thing as here.
Yeah, well, the power level of the super heroic, even the heroic, are pretty insane. Starting cash 100,000.
I mean, yeah, but these are for your high level campaigns where it doesn't make sense that, you know, your James Bond super spy, John Wick badass is hanging out with and getting his jobs from a dude who's still selling stereos out of the back of his car.
Yep. And then the last section, well, actually, the second to last section, is a scenario, a mission for your group. This mission was actually repurposed for the Edgerunner games that I ran at Gen Con. So this particular adventure is specifically for Red. However, in the version I was given, there was another reason why you were on this mission, and also included some of the new the new Edgerunner supplementary rules, which I think someone posted on Reddit. One of the other GMs talked about the breakdown of the rules, and I don't know how much I can get into what was shown. And granted, what we were given was not necessarily what is going to be published. So
yeah,
you always have to take it from a grain of salt. But basically, this particular scenario is structured the same way with the same plot line, in which you're hired to go find some people who did something bad against a faction, and that faction is looking for the players to come in and find the thieves, and basically are sent on a journey to the underground of Night City. So I've run this game. You can run this within within a 2-hour slot. You can expand it to be a little longer. So basically, this is a one shot.
I like that the two bodies and the two patients are also miniatures you can get from Monster Truck. I think that was a nice touch.
Yes. Yeah, the two bodies, I think, came from the basic set, and the two stretcher are the ones from a Trauma Team set.
Yes.
Yeah, so. But yeah, the adventure is easy. It's quick. They wrote a lot of the interactions between the party. I don't want to get too much into the spoilers, but there is a scene at a bodega with a kid who's behind the counter. I've had various players try to intimidate the kid to the point where they were about to kill him before I had to step in and diffuse the situation, because it was going to go wrong in the wrong way.
Oh yeah, you got to keep it family friendly at Gen Con.
Well, it wasn't just that; it was also with my home group. Because I like I said, I don't want to give any spoilers, but the kid behind the counter is you don't want to necessarily cause him too much grief. He's somebody who's trying to help.
He's
the
important.
Party. Yeah, he's there to help the party, not hinder it in any way. But he's a kid, so he gives them attitude. And of course, the players I played with were like, "We're not taking any shit from a teenage kid." It's like, yeah, all right, Not gonna treat you well.
That's the gamer. That's the problem with gamers.
And then the end section is they take all the NPCs, they list them out with their names, their quote-unquote level, i.e. meaning they're a mook, a lieutenant, boss, a hardened mook. If they have a role, it also is listed here. I would have liked to have seen a page number as well in these charts.
That probably would have been very helpful, but that would be too close to an index.
Well, yeah, I mean, God forbid,
Altasaurian does not do
indexes.
You know that.
Yes, that is true. But yeah, that's overall Danger Gal. It's definitely nice quality. The art is good. The book itself is well made.
Yeah, it flows well too. Like it doesn't have some of the like hard to read formatting issues that other books have.
Right. Especially in 2020 where they had like the gray sidebars.
Oh, Wild Side. It's the only complaint I have about Wild Side. Is
that sometimes you can barely, especially if it's a PDF, that you can barely read.
Yeah, like
the content.
You're killing my face. I can't squint any harder.
So,
the non-actual character art, I really like the scene at the top of this section with the people standing around the table making their plans is really an amazing piece of cyberpunk art.
Which section?
The Danger Gal Dossier list, page 167.
Okay.
By Bad Moon Art Studio. It's just really gorgeous.
Yeah. And they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's hilarious.
Oh, that is what they're doing. Holy shit. I thought they were planning a heist or something, but they are in fact playing.
They got dice in front of them. They got character sheets in front of them. They got miniatures on a 3D board.
It's the truth.
I want to know what the hell is up with the otters.
I don't know, but I love that they're just there. I would imagine there's probably some story behind it. But it's very cool that they are in fact there. What's the name of the in-game role playing? Like, yeah, that's what they're actually playing. Is they're playing elf lines.
But Elfline, would they have character sheets? I mean,
are those?
Those are dice.
Like one guy's got what looks like a
character
page full of stickers in front of him, and the other one has dice sitting on top of what looks like a battle.
You are correct. There is a DM screen for the Netrunner. It says Elf Lines.
Yeah.
You are correct. Ooh, with a Rush Segatari behind it.
That's fucking awesome. Like I love this piece of art because it's just got so many little references to so many things going on in it.
Oh, that was a standard with my players. Always getting the Segatari to improve all their skills.
I love the smart shades on the dude, but I do keep coming back to the otters. Like I want. I don't know if they're holographic or just in a glowy cage, but they're fucking cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a couple of instances of art like that that obviously aren't based on the miniatures. They're just cool.
Yep. Yeah, so overall I think it's was this $40? Yeah, $40. Quality wise it's definitely worth a $40.
Yeah, it's a high quality book. And like I said, like it can easily be used for any iteration of Cyberpunk you're running, be it 2020, 2045, or Red, or 2077 with edgerunners coming out. You can easily use this book in anything.
Yeah,
And none of the stats, like the stats, are all easily translatable to whatever game you're playing. It's a useful book. It's full of lore. This is my kind of book right here.
I mean, my thing is, I mean, it's a great book. I'm just still not used to hardcover Cyberpunk books.
Yeah, they really.
Because the one thing about books for me is the heavier they are, the more or less likely I will bring them along when I'm doing games.
Oh, I don't. In this day and age, I wouldn't take physical copies of any books out of my house. Like I've got PDFs, I've got a tablet, like anything I need, I can easily access.
It's true, but there's sometimes you want to bring certain books just to share with the players, right?
Sure, I can see that.
Also, with tablets, for me, I have a hard time quickly looking up something versus I know where exactly in that book to turn the page to, right? So I can pick up a book, go a third of the way in, know that I got 3 more pages I need to turn to find that information. Versus,
that's true. And I mean, there's a reason I have duplicate copies of all the really important 2020 books. Just so, those are the ones that get used and torn up, and I don't care.
I mean, granted, this will last a hell of a lot longer than my paperback stuff.
You say that, but
yeah, I haven't put it through its paces yet.
I was gonna say, some of my hardbacks, like they fall apart, just because you treat them differently.
Yeah,
like they have different stress points. Like the cover on a softback, it'll get folded and bent and mutilated and all that. But with a hardback, because of the way it's bound, like it'll warp and the pages, like the cover will, like if one part of the cover falls off, the whole cover is like the whole thing's gonna fall.
Yeah, like the original D&D books, those things could take a beating. Like the first edition,
oh Lord,
first printings.
Not only could they take a beating, you could give a beating with them, and they'd be just fine. Hell, I've still got first edition players' hands or AD&D players' handbooks. That still hold up fine. Now they're kind of sun faded and scratched, but they're still perfectly bound. Like those did hold up forever.
However, the gold bound or the gold spine ones, they hit and missed.
Fall apart like crazy. Whereas, like some of the paper bound stuff, like the Book of the Drow and all the various like racial handbooks that came out, those still lasted forever.
Well,
so it's all really printing luck of the draw with them.
Some of them were good, some of them were bad. I remember the class books with the brown kind of leatherish.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm talking about. Like those for me lasted forever.
Oh, those covers would just fall right off for me. I didn't handle them well. But anyways, I mean the quality of this book, it'll take some abuse. Which, is what you want from
books. Did you ever notice with Chrome 2, like the cellophane on the cover would always peel off?
Chrome 2? Yes.
Did you ever have that problem? I had 2 different, or not Chrome 2, Chrome 1. Like I have 3 different Chrome 1s. One is still in perfect condition, and the other 2 are in various stages of disrepair because that cellophane cover on it just peels off from the cardboard.
Yeah, I had one friend who had that happen to him. It hasn't happened to my edition. The other thing is, like, all the books my brother had, he would use contact paper, clear contact paper, and rebind all of it. So that way you could, like, write on the book and not basically affect it. So you could
Oh,
spill.
nice. That's
Yeah,
probably a good idea.
like he didn't care if he put a glass on it of water because the ring wouldn't take because the contact paper would just rub away. But then again, you're also for collectors, you're destroying the book by doing that as well. But
Yeah, it's
whatever.
definitely a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
But you're right. I mean, you do treat hardcover books with a little bit more care than you treat softcover books. Like,
yeah.
I think just subconsciously, like hardcover, just you treat it a little bit with just the tiniest bit more care.
Yep. So I guess another question would be, was this worth the wait? Right, 2 years.
I mean, honestly, compared to how long we waited for Black Chrome or
True.
Red itself, 2 years didn't seem like that long.
True.
So yeah, I would say this is definitely worth the wait.
I'm wondering if they waited to produce this to coincide with Combat Zone. I have a strong feeling that they
I would
doing
say
that.
there's a strong possibility of that because they really kind of came out at the same time.
Yeah, and then COVID kind of hit, and Combat Zone was put on hold for that first year.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, you're probably definitely onto something with that. They did seem to to time the releases within days of each other. And I can't see any reason why they wouldn't have done that. Like they seem very interconnected.
Yep.
I think in a near future episode we should probably review Combat Zone.
Yes.
I still need to set it up and play it. I don't know who I'm gonna wrangle into playing it because most of my online group most of my in-person group is, busy lives.
Yep.
But I will definitely read through it, even if I just have to play it by myself. Like I will definitely have a greater understanding in the near future. So I think we definitely need to coincide a review of that coming up soon. Depending on what our interview schedule looks like. So, heck, maybe we can get a hold of somebody from the Monster Fight Club to give us some lowdown. Like that would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Try to beat the drum and find somebody from that group. So there's a bunch of possibilities I'm looking into for future guests, and I definitely want to get a lot more interviews going.
Yeah, same here.
So I'm going to try to get some other people from YouTube and other notable people who kind of have various brands, as well as talking to old authors and even getting some of the new authors on our channel as well. Try to track them down. But
yeah, I definitely try and keep my feelers out with the older crew. We've still got Ackerman on the back burner, as well as Mike Jackson. I'm trying to talk to him. Thaddeus Howes, and of course others. But yeah, we definitely are reaching out to people.
yeah,
And anybody in the audience, if you guys know anybody you think we should be talking to, let us know. 'Cause
yeah,
we're all about that, especially if you have any sort of contact with them and can get us in touch.
definitely. So I guess that's it for this particular episode. Sounds like you're starting to do some dishes.
No, I just had to wash out a cup. It had milk in it. We can't let that sit.
True. So, yeah, that's about it. So next episode, If we don't have a guest on, we will do continue our review of the 2020 books, go in depth. I think we are heading into the various scenarios and adventure packs from 2020. I think we've covered all the various source books and splat books, which is an achievement. Took us a little over a year.
I mean, we're slowly working our way through the whole line, people.
So that's about it. Why does Twitch say the broadcast I'm watching has ended?
That's not a good sign.
It's never a good sign. Anyways, we'll figure it out.
It's still going for me.
Oh, well, maybe it's just on my device, which is possible. Anyways, thanks for those who stuck around to hear us banter about various stuff around Cyberpunk. We appreciate you. Tell your friends to come listen to us. This will get reposted on YouTube later on, maybe in a week or two. It also gets posted
you'll find it
on
Cybernation Uncensored YouTube channel under the Tales from the Forlorn Dopes playlist.
And it's also a podcast as well, so if you want to drive and listen to this show, or listen to old shows and have a long drive in front of you, Rob does create a podcast version of this, so those are available as well. We'd like to thank Rob Mulligan and Cybernation Uncensored for
Thanks, Rob,
allowing us to babble for 2 hours on a Wednesday night and talk about Cyberpunk. So
we are very grateful. We're grateful to you guys for joining us and listening in.
Yeah.
Two old farts ranting on.
Yeah. So you can find me. I have a Cyberpunk site called Cybersmily.net. It contains various web utilities to help improve your games. There's a little bit of lore, some NPCs I have from my game, some rule modifications that I've implemented in my homebrew games. Yeah, and you can also find me on my own Discord. I'm on almost every single Discord, so if you do at Cybersmily, there's a good chance on a Cyberpunk Discord you will hit me or gather my attention. I also patrol the various Reddit threads that are out there for Cyberpunk. I am not on any Twitter or Facebook. Can't stand those brands, but it is what it is. So that's where you can find me at.
Oh, and just as a reminder, it's Cybersmily. There's no E in the smiley. So,
well,
I am
Smiley. Yeah.
Yeah, I am Wisdom 000. I run Datafortress2020.com. You can, if you're looking for anything Cyberpunk 2020 related, you can find it there. Or if not, you can find the links to what you're looking for. I also hang out on Discord. Well, I lurk on Discord and I lurk on Reddit at the various Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk adjacent sites. I am on Facebook, both at Datafortress2020 group and the Cyberpunk 2020 group. Email address is on the site. As always, if you guys have any comments, questions, or complaints, or anything like that, please reach out to us and let us know. We'd love to address whatever it is you feel needs to be addressed.
Yep.
We broadcast on the first and third Wednesdays of every month here on the Cybernation Uncensored Twitch channel. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yep, most definitely. All right, ta-ta for now.
Good night, folks.
Cybernation Uncensored.